You're on tape.
Likutei Torah Masei, page Sadik Aleph, second column. We started Eis Beis already, like 10 lines into Eis, or let's say 8 lines in the end of the page. Okay, now the Rebbe is discussing that the whole union of the Masei was to undo the level of the midbar, Nochor sort of Yavkrov, and he says, L'cha'era, in order for them to go into Eretz Yisrael, they had to go through the midbar. He said, even though L'cha'era, the midbar was a punishment for the Meraglim, so what do you mean that was? So he said, nevertheless, that was the Hashem made this happen. The whole thing happened because that's the Avodah of the Jew. And he said that midbar represents the Yanika of all evil. And midbar is like Adam, Yosef, Adam Sham. He says because evil is hav, like he says, all self-centered, and therefore you can't use. Okay, so he says the Yidden traveling in the midbar, they broke all the evil keiches, and then they were going to Eretz Yisrael. So he says the question is then in Eis Beis, the Rebbe started saying, so why did Hashem make the klipa? And then we have to break it. Don't make the klipa and don't break it. So the Rebbe started saying that's the whole union of Ma Hashem Elokecha Shel Me'imach Kim Liyira. And the Gemara says don't read it Ma Elamei, you have to make 100 brachas a day. What are the 100 brachas a day? Because in the bracha you have Ato, second person, and you have Asher Kedishanu, which is third person. Okay? So he says what's the level of bracha? Ato is Aleph to Tov. Okay? And because Hashem created the world with Machshava. And the Malachim say Kaddish, and the Yidden sing Kaddish. And he says like this, the Neshamis praise Hashem infinitely. So he says, this is where up to now. Well, a few lines into it. He says like this, even though in Sfarim it only talks about 2 levels, the Gan Eden, higher and lower, nevertheless, this is where up to now. Even on the lower level of Gan Eden, the Gemara says, it's worth for him to go through all the punishment that he should go to Gan Eden, even the lower level of Gan Eden, and definitely at the higher level of Gan Eden. He said, there's infinite levels of Gan Eden. It's not, generally speaking, there's 2, higher and lower, but infinitely, there's really infinite levels. But they have no rest because they keep going higher and higher. And even Malachim is also the level of infinite. It says, 1,000 is the amount of one brigade. But there's infinite brigades. And all of this comes from Machshav Achas. He says Hashem created the world with one Machshav. That includes all the higher worlds, the lower worlds. And in the higher worlds there's infinite levels. Even Malachim there's infinite levels. Therefore, everything compared to Hashem is nothing. If one Machshava, Hashem created all these infinite worlds, and one thought compared to the person himself is 1,000,000 infinite times nothing. So you can imagine all the world is nothing. He says, one thought of a person is nothing. Even compared to the power of thought that a person has. Sheyuchel lachshiv b'hem machshavas in Kesvetachas. The Gdal Rebbe explains in Paragraph of Tanya that one word compared to the Koyach HaDibur, or one machshava compared to the Koyach HaMachshava, that's only even compared to the Koyach HaMachshava. Vein tzarech leimer gabi atmitz nefesh, compared to the essence of the nefesh, one machshava is even more nothing. Shagam klol Koyach HaMachshava is only a garment. So then if you go to Midas, and then you go to Seichel, and then you go to Rotz, then you go to Tainuk, so you can imagine one Machshav is nothing. This is what the davens and says, Baruch Atom, Bracha is hamshachas v'gili b'chinas eitzis machshava. Ata, he says, not only, Ata is aleph to tov, which is not only eitzis adibur, eitzis machshava, chav beis eitzis atu kecha machshava, v'nikra Ata, lo sheneichach, and therefore it said direct, second person, yeah? Which is hamshachas b'chinas mamalakolam. Something, when you say you, the you is tangible. That refers to mamala kol almin. If you don't save him kol almin, that's even higher. Third person, that's the level of save kol almin. That the machshav is completely nothing. He says, "Ukemei benefesh bitol ha-machshava legabi ha-seichel." Like the bitol machshava compared to seichel, it's nothing. So what are we saying, Baruch Ata? Okay, we're saying the Alter Rebbe asks, why did Hashem make klipa, and then we have to elevate it, let him not make klipa? So the Alter Rebbe is explaining when a yid makes a bracha and says Baruch Ata, you're bringing down. Ata is the level of the essence of Hashem, eitzis and machshava. But the level of mamalo kolam and neichach is direct, visible, tangible. Then you have Asher Kitshana, third person, which means nistar, concealed. That's the level of Seviv Kolalmin. Yeah. The essence of the neshama field.
But you ask, it's tangible to the neshama. It's not tangible to the guf.
No. The nefesh's role is to make it guf tangible. How much is atmis and nefesh? So he says, so just like one thought by a person is nothing compared to machshava. All the so by the lemaila is also bittul machshava legabi otzen el yishma maila miachshava, and yes gam lemaila miarotz. So he says, what happens? By day hamitzvah shem rotzen elyon, by doing the mitzvahs which are the will of Hashem, mamshichim gili erin tzabach hamshachas bala rotzen bala machshava, that you bring down not the machshava, not the rotzen, you're bringing not one machshava achas, you're bringing down the essence of the machshava, of the rotzen. That's what you bring down when you do a mitzvah. Let me see. Okay, skip 6 lines. 1 second. Where does a yid have a kerch? By doing a mitzvah to bring down, like we learned. There is an expression in the Rebbe Rashab. Kol ha-mitzvahs misyachsim elo atzmos. Mitzvah is connected to the essence of Hashem. You're doing the Ratzon Elyon, which is one with Hashem. The Ratzon Elyon is really bottled to Hashem because it's only Ratzon. So he says, one second. Kerch has a b'mitzvahs lefi shenish b'lo b'maiseh b'seif maiseh machshava tchila. Because mitzvahs are dafka mitzvahs gashmiyim, so therefore seif maiseh machshava tchila. Machshava tchila means not only thought. Machshava tchila, the highest level of machshava. What did you want?
No, I'm saying when we learn Torah, that's a mitzvah in itself. So that connects to the essence of Hashem in the biggest way when we're learning Torah. Right?
Yeah, but that's one aspect of Torah. But then you have the aspect of mitzvahs.
So somebody whose ratzon is not to put tefillin on, and he puts the tefillin on, is the very essence.
Yeah. In other words, when a person says he doesn't want, that's not true.
It's false and fish.
The Rambam says that how can you do Keif and Eisei Hashem Ereit, the famous Rambam was Gerushin. How do you say Keif and Eisei Hashem Ereit Ani? You beat him up until he says, I want. That's not wanting. He doesn't want to get beat up. So what does the Rambam say? Every Jew wants to do what's right. It's Yitzrei Ra'ansei, to force him to go against what he really wants. So when a Jew says, I don't want to do a mitzvah, it's not him.
It's a
It's an external force not allowing the Jew to do the mitzvah that he really wants to do. And we said the same thing on Munah. The Rebbe told that guy when he told the Rebbe, I don't believe. The Rebbe said, the fact that you say you don't believe doesn't take away from the fact that you do believe. Because in essence, you believe. That's what you're saying, I don't believe. That's not true. That's external. It says by Yitzchak's birth, right? Why doesn't it say Tzchek Asali Hashem? He says because Elokim Gadavka Gaidim Lias Yesha Eis Tzchek Vatainug L'mayla. He said Tzchek Asali Elokim. What causes the Tzchek L'mayla? Because Elokim makes me a yesh, and because I yesh in the bittul I yesh to the ayin to do the Torah mitzvah tzchek tainug. So that's why, because I'm a yesh, therefore I reach a higher level of tzchek. Shayesh bat v'achakar v'zel levyosin zayitzarta. Levyosin zayitzarta, right? The levyosin Hashem made lost of love to have games with. What is levyosin? Levyosin comes from the word Levi, Levia, connection, accompaniment. Loshin is chabris, is chabris yesh la'ayin. Shagashmi is batal l'ruchnius. When you have Levyosin, that means when a yid is connected and patah Shem, that's yitzar to l'sachik bey. Shemizen nasas chayk v'chedva l'mayla. In other words, to use the Rambam language, and Chassidus language. Entertainment is from something different, unique. Chassidus always gives the mashal tzipah medaberes, right? Or like we said many times, you go on vacation. It's really a hassle. Yeah, at home it's much better. Why do you go on vacation? Because you want to change the scenery. What's the enjoyment that you're changing your scenery? Because in Inyan, the food is not as good, the beds are not as good, nothing's as good. So, tzibah medaberes means that because that person talks, that's normal. That a bird talks is something new, and people get excited from something new. That's why the Rambam writes, why does Hashem like a Baal Tshuva greater? Because the Baal Tshuva is unique. They were sinning, and now they turned out, we're talking about Tshuva of Tshuva Me'ava, that's then is not the Kazochis. So that level is Hashem now, wow, is a new thing, it's unique. Right? That's the whole Inyan, why Tshuva is so special by Hashem, because it's unique. Chassidus says that the purpose of a neshama to come down into the world, neshama is in Gan Eden is a level of a tzaddik. Now it's coming into this world, it's the concept of becoming about tshuva. And that's the schek l'mayla. Dafke in the yesh, seif mais machshava tchila. So now the Rebbe is asking a question, what's the purpose of the neshama coming down to elevate evil? Don't come down, don't elevate evil, don't have evil. What's the answer? Because the ultimate tainug of Hashem is dafke when there's yesh, dafke evil, and dafke you elevate it. Yes. Therefore, it says in the Gemara, a bracha of a simpleton should not be light in your eyes. Peter, what does it mean? Elevating the gashmistic things that are called milin the hedyaita. It says the world is milin the hedyaita, the world of a simpleton. So alti kala there shouldn't be light in your eyes. Bittul yesh, through the bittul of the yesh is a dafka nasa bracha v'amshachim u'mayla, and therefore it's called birchas hedyet. You skip the brackets 3 lines. V'zeh you say kol mitzvahs. That's the fundamental purpose and foundation of all mitzvahs. Foundation of all mitzvahs is to elevate the yesh to ayin. And yesh becoming ayin is a chiddush. Akamei tzedakah. Shenei simim mamayna shiyah ge'ela. Allah. A person worked with his whole body, like the Rebbe says in Tanya, and he makes the money with all his body, and then he gives it to tzedakah. Therefore it says, is b'chol mameincha. One interpretation, Rashi says, b'chol meidecha, is with all your money. Right? And Rashi says in Chumash, some people love their money more than themselves. Some people, in fact, in today's chitas, with Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain, first they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, we're going to build houses for our animals, and then, barns for our animals, and then we're going to build houses for our children. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, you got the order wrong. First the kids, and then the animals. First your family, then the money. Rashi. No, Moshe Rabbeinu told him. One interpretation is Ava is with all your money. Another interpretation, Ava is with all your money. How do you get Ava b'li gvul? In the same interpretation of b'chol meidach means b'li gvul and money. So the answer is both are true. How do you reach unlimited? Is with all your money. Meaning, Chazal say, says at the end of creation, so the Medrash says, Tev is the Malachat Tev, Ma'id is Malachat Mavis. How can you have the Malachat Mavis is Tev Ma'id? Even though the nefesh is chelak alakami mal, mikama came coming into the body. Imugbalus is limited. Because the ava is based on how much understanding you can have, how much meditation you can have, and how great you are. It's all limited. And therefore, a neshama in a body which is limited can never reach infinite. Has no beginning and end. The only way it could be done is through the nefesh habamis dafka. The only way a limited neshama could reach the infinite level of elokus is not by the neshama itself, only through the nefesh habamis. Why? When you transform the nefesh habamis bitterness to sweetness, to cling to Hashem, that's ava b'li gvul. In other words, like this, tzedakah is like we learned, the Torah, it says in Tanya and Yerushalmi, whenever it says the word mitzvah, it means tzedakah. And the Torah explains in Tanya, the Gesher Kodesh, that tzedakah is the essence of all mitzvahs. Because why? Tzedakah, you work with your whole body. And then you give it to, so this means your whole body, like this tefillin is with your hand and head, matzah you eat with your mouth. I mean, where do you have the whole body? That's in the mitzvah of tzedakah, because you work with the whole body for the money, and now you're giving it to tzedakah. So he says, like the gushing of water, shabeik and mahested, when there's a blockage, that's the concept of a dam, right? There's blockage in the water, yeah, and the water is pushed up against this wall, and then you take away the wall, the water gushes, right, like all these floods, which is blocking their gushing, then it's much stronger. So therefore he says, the only way a neshama can elevate to the essence of Hashem is only when there's a blockage of the nefesh habamis, of the Yetzer Hara, or the Malach HaMavet, it's all the same thing. And the neshama transforms the nefesh habamis to want elokus. So that's the concept of the gushing waters that broke through the nefesh habamis. Like the whole concept of a filter. What makes something filtered? If there's no pressure, there's no filtering. Filter means there's a pressure, and you break through the pressure, so then you become refined. Like which one? I mean, there are a few. There's mikvah, but that's a different. Mikveh itself is not a mitzvah. If you're tummy, you have to go to a mikveh. Huh? Sukkah, again, there's a few mitzvahs like that, yes. But sukkah, you're not making the effort with your whole body. Tzedakah means you worked your whole body, and the Alter Rebbe in Tanya says, even a person who was born rich, nevertheless, he could have bought things for his whole body. What do you mean your whole body?
You respect your past.
I understand, but it's not the same thing as a person working for money and then taking the money and giving it away. Instead of saying, I worked for it, it's mine.
So Rabbi, the purpose is to break the dam, and the purpose is to break the nefesh.
Yeah. It's kafir isabcha. That's the whole tachlis of the neshama's descent, is kafir isabcha.
We're not supposed to break it.
You are supposed to break it.
Well, Shusterman says you have...
Work with the nefesh habamis, but not breaking the evil desires of the nefesh habamis. Working with the nefesh habamis means that the nefesh habamis itself should love Hashem. But in order for getting the nefesh habamis to love Hashem, you have to first break it. Then you have isabcha. Other taziv ima is isabcha, not iskafia. But in order to come to isabcha, you need to do first to iskafia. Vaynu gamkin inyan achar mashin is bar le'il. Shaydei bitol hayesh tafko shenis edo l'mayla b'chinas ein sof. So the Alter Rebbe is in the middle of explaining that's why there has to be klipa, and we have to elevate the midbar, in other words, and we have to travel through the midbar, meaning elevating the midbar, because only through breaking evil do you reach a level that you couldn't have reached without the evil. And by the way, it's the whole concept of Golos. Why does Hashem make Golos? Because through keeping mitzvahs and Golos when it's super difficult, that's when we reach a level higher than we would have reached at the time of the Beis HaMikdash. It's what? I don't hear you. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, but it's risky. Some people just bounce off.
Every investment is risky. Life is risky. If you don't want to be risky, you stay home, grow your own food, because maybe somebody poisoned it, and have your own well with your own filter. Driving the car is not risky today. Walking in the street is risky. Okay. No. Why did Hashem make life risky? Because only through the risks do you reach a level you wouldn't have reached without the risks.
He's a very good investor.
Oh, Hashem.
Yes.
We're the investors.
We are investees. He invested in us.
Hashem invested in us.
So why would he do it?
Da mala mala mimach. Because only we could do it. We learned many times, if the way the Rabbi explained this, that the concept of din v'cheshbon, cheshbon v'din. Okay, so the Baal Shem Tov said, because l'mayla they come and you don't say you did this and this and this, go to Gehenim. You say, you listen to a court case and the Yid proclaims a din and then make a cheshbon, that's it. So, that's beautiful. But the Rabbi explained in many siches. The Rabbi explained because the only one that could proclaim a negative sentence on a Jew is the Jew himself. Not Mesifta the Rekia, not Bezdin Shalmaila. So therefore they couldn't proclaim, go to Gehenna because you're no good. The only one that has a right and an ability to proclaim a ruling on themselves, not on somebody else. One of the explanations is don't judge another person, because the only one that could judge somebody else is Yechid Hashem himself. Because we don't know when the situation is, what the story is, what the, whatever. But that's the koyach of a Yid. Only a Yid Hashem invested within us, that we have the ability to create dira b'tachteinim. That's exactly this concept. In other words, is dira b'tachteinim. There's a yesh, ein tachten l'matei menu, as Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. It's the lowest of the low. And in this world of tachteinim, mamish tachteinim, over there we create a dira latzmusa yisbarech, to the essence of Hashem. Who could do that? Only a Yid, a neshama in a guf. Gan Eden can't do that at all. Only a neshama in a guf can create a dira b'tachteinim. And only through Yeridus and neshama lamata, and especially in Golos time, when the darkness is stronger, so the light is min ha'cheshech, it's even stronger.
You can't make the Tachtonim in Geula?
In where?
During Geula time?
No.
It's not Tachtonim.
The Alter Rebbe says, Toli b'maseinu v'avidaseinu meshech zman ha'golos. That's what the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya.
You're losing a lot of Jews. You're losing them.
Temporarily. But if it's worth for a neshama to come into the world 78 to do one favor, who said we're losing them? Maybe they did a favor. Maybe they did something good. Of course they did something good.
The children are not children.
I mean, you have a problem. You have a problems with Hashem. Is that the only problem you have with him? There are worse problems with him.
No problem.
Okay. There are bigger problems than Okay, let's just finish this up. Like it says, Tzedakah elevates the guy. There's a pasuk. Tzedakah Terem Guy literally means tzedakah elevates the nation, but guy represents a guy. The Yeshua. Shaydei zed tovei nefesh abamis levchinus b'chol meidacha de bligvul. So that's the whole concept of Torah mitzvahs. You read why the Eibishter wanted a Yid to go through the midbar, meaning to come into the world, to have the members Masei, to have the midbar, is that's the only way a Jew could reach a level where otherwise he couldn't reach. Shkoch to your goof.